A new Division One women's soccer poll has been released, and it goes as follows: Duke with all 8 first place votes, Mississippi State, Wake Forest, USC, Arkansas, Florida State, TCU, North Carolina, UCLA, Ohio State, Santa Clara, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, Stanford, South Carolina. Stanford and South Carolina, by the way, are tied, but in my opinion, there should be no ties. Somebody has to be clearly better. And that's just saying for the rest of the ties I'm going to mention here. Michigan State. Tied at 17 is Texas Tech and Iowa. Memphis, Georgetown, Texas. Tied at number 22 are the following 2 teams: Penn State and Pepperdine. Auburn and Utah State consists of the rest of the top 25. Now, receiving vote teams are the following: Xavier with 17, West Virginia with 17, Virginia with 17, Minnesota with 13, Kentucky with 3, Oklahoma State with 1. And granted, there are some conference tournaments that are about to start this week or even on Sunday, so not a lot of top 25 showdowns, so to speak, that I can't predict, automatically say off the bat once we get to that part. And I'm going to just go over RPI right now, because you know that does play a factor whether or not you're just hosting up to the Sweet 16 game or even the Elite 8 game. So really the top 16 and all this in RPI right now is the following teams: North Carolina, Duke, Mississippi State, Arkansas, USC, Wake Forest, Florida State, Stanford, Penn State, Iowa, Notre Dame, Virginia, Ohio State, TCU, Michigan State, and UCLA. Granted, we'll have to wait and see. And I'm just going to go like 35 through 70 just to give some context on bubble teams. And granted, if you're like 35, you should be safe for the NCAA term, but you never know. Like Georgia, Pitt, Texas Tech, Liberty, Rutgers, Washington, Oklahoma, Dayton, Arizona, James Madison, Texas A&M, Tennessee, Fairfield, Princeton, UMass, LSU, Clemson, Army, USF, Louisville, Cal, SMU, Creighton, Utah Valley, Boise State, Buffalo, Columbia, Colorado, UConn, Memphis, Kansas, Rice, Baylor, Ohio, Boston College, and Bucknell. And granted, some of those are like one-bid leagues, so to speak. So, you know, it is what it is on that. If you're a one-bid league, you're in a one-bid league. You got to win your conference tournament. If you have one, that is. And obviously, there are limits to conference tournaments if you do have one. Like, I know for a fact for the power conferences. I don't know about everybody else. When I just did research on it, on the power conferences this year. So yeah, and I think the Big East does as well have limits. So you got to make your conference tournament if you can. I mean, that's just telling the truth about it. And if you're left out in the conference tournament and you're right on that bubble, for you. And obviously, if you're in a conference tournament or about to be, you got to win your first game. Because if you don't, then especially if it's against a lower RPI, then I think you would be in danger. And obviously, for those teams way behind in the RPI, take for example Baylor, they have to practically win against Arizona, and then beat Texas Tech. And that's the only, and then maybe that'd be enough for the NCAAs, but I don't know. Just getting to the semifinals might not be enough. Or obviously, when the conference tournament, you're automatically in. Or just getting to the finals, I think you might be in that way as well. But it's no guarantee in all this. And granted, I know there are some regular season games left to be played for the two power conferences this week. Then it's conference tournaments, and even some conferences don't even have a conference tournament. So I'm just making mention of that. Now, my top 10 for Division I women's soccer goes as follows: Duke, Mississippi State, Wake Forest, USC, Florida State, Arkansas, TCU, North Carolina, UCLA, and Ohio State. Now, outside looking in no particular order on this, Santa Clara, Virginia Tech, Notre Dame, Stanford, South Carolina, Michigan State, and Iowa. I'm leaving out Texas Tech because they did lose to BYU at home. So, you know, it's dramatic, and it could have been a tie, I know. And there's only like 2 top 25 showdowns between now and next pulled out are guaranteed in all this. And I'm not including conference tournament stuff. number 2 Mississippi State at number 14 South Carolina, number 1 Duke, and number 8 North Carolina. Another thing about the RPI is if you want to try to avoid bad losses as much as possible, especially if you want to host up to a Sweet 16 game or the Elite 8 game. It all depends about other results. I get it on the NCAA stuff, but you know what I'm saying here. To give yourself a better chance, and obviously potentially a difference between being at home for the first round instead of being on the road. We're going to have to wait and see what happens here between now and next poll, and even with these conference tournaments going to begin next week as well, like on Sunday. So anyways, if you like this content, hit the like and subscribe button. See you guys later on the road to 7 subscribers. Of course, ultimate goal is 1,000 more. So we might have to, of course, like a video, comment video. It really helps YouTube algorithms. More people see it. So the video does help as well, so more people can watch. And if you're watching, hit subscribe button, read the notification bell as well. And I'm pretty sure you will be able to see what the RPI is after all the games played on that particular day, like the next day, like at 9 a.m. Central Time or 10 a.m. Just to give some context more on if you're a particular school or team and all this. See where you're at. I mean, that's the thing. And obviously, if you get to the semifinals, try to make as deep a run as possible in those conference tournaments will really help your cause. And both not just for the bubble teams, but for those teams that should be hosting potentially up to the Elite 8 game or Sweet 16 game. We'll have to wait and see what happens.